welcome to my live. I hope everyone can find me okay. I'm just gonna send out a quick note that I couldn't figure out how to do the scheduled live stream. Oh, people are finding me. Awesome. People are finding me. This is great. People are finding me. All right. I couldn't figure out how to do the scheduled live stream. I should have stayed on the page and I didn't. But here I go. Let me just message people and let them know that I figured out how to do it. And then I will start reading from the beginning. Let's see. Hold on. I'm just going to post a message on my Facebook page letting people know that I figured it out. Let's see. I just want to make sure people stay with me here. Don't lose me, people. Stay with me. Stay with me here. I just need to make sure I get some viewers here. I'll just start reading. This part is the beginning of the mom's perspective. So Destiny has just finished a tour of the Jackson Center, and she's headed back toward Haverford Hospital. Is this the right one? Yeah. She's headed back to Haverford Hospital. She's feeling a little nervous, and that's where we're going to pick up right now. So this is the mom's perspective. I felt a definite sense of relief after the intake and tour. Eliza seems nice, Destiny said in the car ride back to Haverford Hospital. I agreed with her. I also knew that this was a place for Destiny to get the treatment that she so desperately needed, and a way for our whole family to get our lives back. Destiny was quiet for a little while before speaking up. I really want to have a chance to be out of the hospital, but I'm still a little scared. I still don't quite know what to expect. That's perfectly normal, I told her. But you know what's great about this program? What? Asked Destiny, who was absent-mindedly stroking Blinky. Dad or I will be able to visit you almost every day while you're there. It's way closer to our house. Oh, and after your first 6 weeks, we'll be able to take you off grounds for visits, I reminded her. A huge smile broke out across Destiny's face when I reminded her of that part. This is good, I reassured her. This is a huge step in the right direction for you. Destiny nodded and smiled again, but I caught a hint of hesitancy in her face. What's wrong? I asked her. I'm going to miss the Haverford Hospital people, she admitted. Maybe they can have a goodbye party for you, I suggested to her. Destiny's face brightened at this idea. When we arrived back at the unit, I spoke to Christy about the idea of a goodbye party. I think that would be a great idea, agreed Christy. Sometimes we also make goodbye books, she added in. What are those? I asked. We get a notebook, and each staff member writes a note or message in it, and then we'll give the notebook to Destiny on the day she leaves. Sometimes we get patients to leave notes as well, Christy explained to me. I love that idea. How was the visit to the Jackson Center otherwise? How'd meds through the J-tube go? Asked Christy. It seems like a great place, I smiled. The houses look homey and not at all institutionalized. The staff were all really warm and open, and had lots of smiles and interest in both Destiny and me. They have a solid school program that is on the grounds, which will be great for Destiny since she was missing so much school before. The therapist, Eliza, really seems to know what she's doing and thinks she can help Destiny. I'm excited. I'm finally feeling some relief. I'm finally feeling like I'm doing the right thing. Oh, and meds were fine. It was just like the NJ tube, only easier because I didn't have to worry about yanking the tube out of her nose or clogging it up as much. I sighed heavily after explaining all this to Christy. It had kind of all come rushing out of me in a huge gush. I hadn't meant to say so much, but I now had a greater sense of calm and relief. Christy didn't seem to mind. She just smiled at me and reached out and gave my arm a quick pat. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed about things, you need to talk to some of the staff there. Hold on, I skipped the page, guys, sorry. The thing about Destiny is that she has a very serious mental illness, but she also has a deep well of inner strength and courage. If anyone can thrive with these types of illnesses, it's her, Christy reassured me. I'm sad about leaving here next week, Destiny told me when I called her later that evening to say goodnight, but I know I can't stay here forever. I wouldn't want to, and I'm glad I'm not going to a long-term locked unit as well. I completely agree with you on that one, I told her. It sounds cliched, but I felt as though a large weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and like I could straighten up and then see the beautiful world surrounding me again. I put Alan on the phone and could tell that he was feeling relief as well. This was something new we were trying, and although it was scary, it was empowering us with a sense of hope and renewal. Just one more week in the hospital, Mom, Destiny happily informed me on our phone call the next morning. Did Christy tell you about the goodbye book they're going to create for you? I asked her. Yeah, I love that idea. I can take my happy memories of all the special people I met here with me. What about my birthday, though? Destiny asked. What about it? I asked back, as fear began to light a small fire inside my chest. It's coming up, she reminded me. Am I going to be at the Jackson Center for my birthday? Yes, but they'll help you through it, and we'll come visit you on it. It'll be okay. I heard another sniffle on the other end of the phone. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed about things, you need to talk to some of the staff there, right? Right, Mom, Destiny agreed. After I hung up the phone, I could feel some of the worry easing slowly back into my joints. What was going to happen on this upcoming birthday that Destiny was so terrified of? Were the people at the Jackson Center going to be able to keep her on the right track? That familiar and persistent fear that I might lose my only daughter to a self-inflicted death was worming its way into my consciousness again. They won't let her hurt herself, Ellen tried to assure me. She'll be at a treatment center that specializes in dealing with kids like her. They'll know what to do. I nodded and outwardly agreed, but in my head, I knew there was no such thing as kids like her, and I think Alan knew that too. We will talk to Eliza about the birthday issue more in depth when she is officially admitted there, Alan added. Eliza had explained to us that we'd be having family therapy sessions every week on Fridays, and that she would have individual therapy sessions with Destiny once a week. In addition to that, the staff counselors at the house would be monitoring Destiny and the other girls 24/7. The counselors would have a one-to-one check-in with Destiny every shift. Alan and I fell into an uneasy sleep. Dad and I are both coming to visit you in a couple of days, I told her the following morning. Are you almost ready to move into the Jackson program? Yeah, I think so. My goodbye book is already 3/4 the way filled up. Almost all the staff have signed it, and a lot of the kids here, too. That's awesome, sweetheart, I told her. It felt like a new chapter of our lives was about to start, and I was only too happy to turn the page and put the old chapter behind us. After I hung up the phone, I felt muscular arms wrap around my waist and a delicate kiss brush against my neck. I spun around and planted a return kiss on Alan's cheek. I knew we were going to make it through this, he told me. We're a strong family. If anyone can do it, we can. You're right, I whispered back into Alan's ear and then nibbled on it. A couple days later, when we went to visit Destiny, we were still in good spirits. We arrived at the hospital and barely noticed the set of double-locked doors when they buzzed us through. We were hopeful that this was going to be one of the last times that we would have to see our daughter locked up behind doors like that. Destiny looked great. She had put on a few pounds and looked a little less see-through, a little less like she was about to fade away. She came running toward us with Blinky tucked under her one arm, threw herself into our arms, first mine, then Alan's, and then we sat down together at one of the tables in the area called the day room and played a game of rummy while we chatted. My party was awesome, Mom, she told us. They even made sure there was no food so that I wouldn't feel bad about not being able to eat anything. We played Dance Dance Revolution, then karaoke, and I was so good at the Dance Dance Revolution part. And then we played musical chairs and had a piñata filled with mini brands. I love mini brands. Blinky loves them so much, and so do all her brothers and sisters. Mini brands are those tiny toy-sized versions of real foods and toys and household supplies that are no bigger than an inch or so. Destiny loved to pretend that they were food and toys for Blinky and her other stuffed toys, but mainly Blinky. I got so many awesome new mini brands, and then we went around the room and everyone said one thing they liked about me and one thing they would miss about me. I smiled. Haverford Hospital had been a miracle to our lives. At the end of our visit, I felt the familiar ache of leaving Destiny on a locked psych ward by herself, but I assured myself that this was going to be the last times I would have to do that. I gave Destiny a big hug before we left. She hugged me back tightly, and I had to pry myself out of her grasp. I'll be back in a couple of days to take you to the Jackson Center, I promised again, as soon as I forced myself to pull away. As I was leaving, I could see the fear and apprehension in her eyes that she had hidden throughout the whole visit. It'll be okay, it really will, I reassured her as I forced myself to leave. I knew I had to. At home, I kept beating down the worry thoughts as best as I could. Kind of like that carnival game, Whack-A-Mole, where you hit the worry thought over the head and then it reappears somewhere else, and you have to hit it over the head again and again as they appear faster and faster. Would the Jackson Center really be able to handle Destiny when she went into full-on crisis mode? I knew that when Destiny had freaked out at the hospital, it had taken 3 to 4 full-grown adults to prevent her from hurting herself. What would happen if she freaked out at the Jackson Center? Alan read the worry on my face. She's been doing great, he assured me. She'll keep doing great because she'll be happier at the Jackson Center. Having more freedom will be good for her. I nodded, but the worries continued to resurface. What if the freedom turned out to be too much for her instead? I trudged through the next few days, trying to act as normal as possible. I slapped together a personal essay for one of the literary journals I often wrote for, made dinner and cleaned up around the house a little bit. On the outside, I acted as if nothing was up, but on the inside, I felt like my family and I were on the verge of climbing Mount Everest. We were gearing up for a big journey, one that I wasn't sure we were adequately prepared for. Alan acted as if nothing was up for the first couple of days, but the night before Destiny was supposed to be transferred to the Jackson Center, all charades were peeled away. I'm so scared, he admitted. I know, I told him. I looked up at Alan. The corners of his eyes were wet. A lone tear was meandering down his cheek. He lifted his hand and blotted the tear away, but another one was making an escape out of his other eye. Leaning into Alan, I hugged him tightly. Alan fell against me, and I stroked his back. It had been a long road for all of us, and now it switches back to Destiny's perspective. The morning I was scheduled to go to the Jackson Center, I woke up out of breath. I looked around and took a mental picture of everything in the room. Despite all of the unpleasant memories that had been formed in this unit, I knew that there was still a lot that I would miss. Most of the staff were super nice, and I'd gotten used to it there. I didn't know what to expect at the Jackson Center. It was still early, and the unit was quiet. The lights were off in the hallway, and none of the other kids were up yet. I could hear a couple of overnight staff milling around in the hallway. I hugged Blinky hard and swallowed again, but my fears kept rising back up in my throat. Can you do my hair in braids? I asked the nurse Vicky when she came to bring me into the treatment room to get my weight and disconnect my tube feeds for an hour so that I could take certain medication on an empty GI tract. You bet, kiddo, she told me back. Then she pulled me into a quick hug. I was shocked because there was a no contact rule. I knew, but I hugged her back immediately. I knew time with Vicky would distract me from my worries and excitement that were building up like a mosh pit of butterflies, making the wait till discharge seem impossible. I'm going to miss you, she told me as she combed through my gnarly curly red hair. You have to write or call us to tell us how you are doing, she told me. I will, I promised her. I'm so proud of how well you've done. I know it hasn't been easy, but you've worked so hard fighting against a difficult disease with frightening symptoms. Thanks, I whispered, swallowing around a lump of sadness in my throat. After checking out Vicky's awesome handiwork in the mirror, I followed her into the treatment room. For the last time, I peeled off my pajamas and put on a hospital gown to get weighed, and then had her disconnect my tube feeds that were still on the IV pole from the overnight shift. I loved not having to worry about the IV pole or the tube feeding backpack for that 1 hour of freedom that I had every morning. Sadly, the hour passed quickly, and as day shift came on, Christy snagged me. Go grab your tube feeding backpack so that I can hook you up for the day after I give you your morning meds, she told me. Sighing heavily, I padded down to my room in my pink fuzzy llama slippers and grabbed the backpack and then went back to meet Christy at the nurse's station. She already had a bag of tube feed hooked up to the pump and ready to go in one hand, and then on the tray in front of her, she had a cup with all my crushed up pills mixed with my liquid meds mixed with a little bit of water. Ready for your last round of morning meds at Haverford Hospital, Christy told me, grinning as she sucked up the med mixture into a syringe and then pushed it through my J-tube and into the middle part of my small intestine. I guess, I told her shakily. I was really excited to leave, but I was going to miss everyone so bad and didn't know the routine at the Jackson Center. I liked knowing routines. Christy finished pushing the meds through, pushed the syringe full of sterile water through, and then set up my tube feeding backpack and pulled the end of the tubing through the special hole at the bottom of the bag and hooked the tubing up to my J-tube. Here you go, Destiny. Breakfast is served, she joked with me. What are we having today? I'm having scrambled eggs with lots of cheese, toast with butter and strawberry jelly, an orange cut into sections, and some chocolate almond milk, I told her. Of course, hang on, 2 pages. It was a game we played every day. We would decide what the tube feed stood for that day. The rest of the day passed in a blur of anxiety. After everyone said their goodbyes to me at community meeting, Mike, another one of my favorite staff, asked if I wanted to say anything. I nodded. It took me a few hard swallows to get air through that sadness lump that was still lodged in my throat, and also to get around the butterfly mosh pit to get a hold of my voice, but finally I spoke. I definitely didn't want to come here. It wasn't my choice, and I hated it here at first because I kept getting myself in trouble. But I learned a lot while I was here. I feel like I can control myself and my symptoms a lot better than I could before. I feel like I've proved to myself that I'm strong inside. I want to thank you all. I want to say thank you to all the staff and the other kids for helping me get through this. I'm going to miss everyone here, and I will never forget you guys, I promised. There was more I wanted to say, but my throat was closing up, so I stopped. There was a pregnant moment of silence, and then everyone clapped, and I had to smile. We're all going to miss you too, Mike told me. You are one tough, spunky kid that we will never forget. He handed me my goodbye book. This is for you, he smiled. I grabbed the goodbye book and hugged it to my chest. Thanks, I told him. My voice was thick with tears. My mom showed up about an hour after community meeting. She and a few staff helped me pile my 3 months' worth of belongings that I'd amassed onto a trolley-type device like they have at hotels and airports. On our way out the door, I hugged all the staff and some of the other kids. Of course, bye Destiny and good luck rang out as we headed through the set of Haverford Hospital's double-locked doors for the last time. On the other side of the locked doors, I was hit with a wave of euphoria. I did it, Mom, I told her. I'm discharged. My mom let go of the trolley full of my belongings for a second and gave me a big hug. When we got outside the building, I breathed in the fresh air in huge gulps. I felt like I was high on life. I helped my mom pile all my belongings into the trunk and climbed into the front seat of the car. The 2-hour drive to the Jackson Center breezed by. My mom had to stop and get a latte from Starbucks halfway there. I got an iced tea and made sure that my G-tube drainage bag was going to drain it out by just taking a few sips at first and watching it run down the tubing and into the bag. Once I was satisfied that it would drain and not make me vomit or cause some sort of obstruction or anything, I put the bag on the floor of the car and enjoyed my black iced tea with 3 equal, 3 stevia, and extra lemon. As we got closer to the Jackson Center, my anxiety jacked up. I didn't know any of the staff or kids. What would they think of me? Would they think I was weird? Would they not like me? Would any of the kids bully me? You okay? My mom asked me. I'm a little nervous, I admitted. That's perfectly normal, my mom assured me. I nodded and played with Blinky's ear. You scared? I asked Blinky. It'll be okay. I'll take care of you, I whispered into Blinky's ear. We finally pulled up at the Jackson Center. My mom parked near the Victorian-style house that was Sharon House, the adolescent girls' house. My legs felt so wobbly as a newborn calf as I got out of the car and followed her toward the door. 2 smiling women greeted us. One of them was short and heavyset with shoulder-length blonde hair. The other one was also short, but much thinner, with curly brown hair. The blonde woman introduced herself as Eden, and the thinner one with curly hair introduced herself as Kara. We'll show you your room, Eden told me, and grabbed one of the suitcases. Kara grabbed another suitcase, and we headed up the stairs. Now, normally, before you go up or down the stairs in the house, we're going to have to say going up or going down, and wait for staff to reply, okay, before you can proceed. Okay, Kara told me. I nodded at this weird rule. My room was at the top of the stairs. It was big, with 2 beds and 2 dressers and 2 big windows. I remembered Eliza telling me that I would be in a double room, but I would be by myself in there. We dropped the suitcases in the middle of the room, and Eden and Kara and my mom all started helping me unpack. The other girls are at the summer program right now. They get home a little after 3. They can't wait to meet you, Kara told me. I nodded and anxiously ran my fingers down Blinky's back. I was nervous to meet the other girls. There are 4 other girls right now, Kara said. I just nodded again. My hand had a tremor as I pulled my Hello Kitty sheets onto the bed that would be mine. After Kara, Eden, my mom, and I had unpacked all my belongings, we went downstairs. Kara and Eden had me practice saying, going down, before I went down the stairs. It felt awkward, but I was going to have to remember to say it every time I went down the stairs, or I would get in trouble and would be deducted major points. Eden explained to me that for the first couple of weeks, I had to be in the same room as staff at all times. We do that for all new kids, she explained. It's just a way of making sure things stay safe. Eden and Kara showed me the staff office. Kids aren't allowed in the office. If you need anything, you just have to come to the door and talk to us. Then Eden showed me my point sheet again. It was hanging on the door that led from the living room to the office. It already had my name on it and everything. You're going to start on level 2, but because you're on phase 1, you can't go off grounds yet. To get to phase 2, you have to pass a quiz with all of the Jackson Center rules on it. You can take that quiz after your first few weeks here, Eden explained. These are your goals for now, Eden pointed out the sentences at the bottom of the point sheet. Your first goal is to get to know the rules, And your second goal is to get to know the other kids and staff, she explained. I nodded, remembering Eliza's description of these goals at my intake. I was just starting to feel comfortable when Kara explained that my mom was going to need to get going. I felt like I was going to start to break apart inside. I gave my mom a desperate hug and didn't let go. I promise I'll come back tomorrow, my mom reassured me. You're only 30 minutes away now. I'll be able to visit much more often. Reluctantly, I peeled myself off of my mom and shrank away. There I was, in a house with a million rules and two women who I had only just met. Eden and Kara both picked up on my anxiety. The other girls should be home soon. In the meantime, do you want to play a game or something? Asked Kara. Sure, I agreed. My voice trembled as I spoke. We played a few hands of rummy and a new game they taught me called Skip Bow, and it seemed like only moments later the other girls were home from their summer program. I felt myself tense up when a male staff came through the door with the other four girls. Hey girls, Eden greeted them. This is Destiny. She just arrived today. I waved at them briefly and then clung to Blinky like a life raft. Hey, I'm Sam G, the male staff greeted me. This is Tanya. He gestured toward a short girl with chin-length brown hair and a bit of an acne problem. Hi, Destiny. Tanya had a high-pitched nasal voice with a lot of enthusiasm. It's really nice to meet you. This is Kat. Sam gestured to an Asian girl who was of average height and thin. This is Lydia, a tall, stocky girl with a boy's haircut, waved at me. And this is Kayla. Sam pointed to the last girl, who was also tall, average weight, with long, curly, and wavy brown hair. They looked like they ranged in age from 12 to 18 or 19, with Lydia being the youngest and Tanya being the oldest. My suspicions were confirmed when I asked their ages. I nodded at all the girls as I kept my death grip on Blinky. So we're going to have our house meeting now, Sam informed me, and then after that we have snack time and then free time. The girls and staff all filed into the living room and sat down on the couches and chairs that were spread around the soft blue carpet. I perched myself anxiously on the edge of a couch. Just then, a large bear of a man with a jet black goatee and a bald head came through the door. Hey, girls, he smiled a gentle smile at everyone, but I still felt threatened for some reason. I couldn't explain. He turned to me. You must be Destiny. I nodded and said hi. My name is Sam C., he explained. I am the program manager of this house. I am basically in charge of all the staff and all the girls here. I just nodded again. This guy rubbed me the wrong way, even though he hadn't done anything bad to me yet. What is that? He asked, pointing to Blinky. It's Blinky, my lamb, I explained. Sam C. made a kind of humph sound. Do you carry it everywhere? He asked me. I nodded and clung to Blinky even tighter. I didn't like where this is going. Well, it's okay for now, but we're going to have to talk about that, he told me. My heart began to pump panic through my bloodstream. Now I knew why I had a bad feeling about this guy. Thankfully, Sam C. moved on from me. He sat down in a chair at the front of the living room. All right, girls, let's have a house meeting. Who wants to start? Sam G. asked. Tanya raised her hand. All right, Tanya, take it away, Sam C. told her. Well, today I am feeling happy. And one positive thing is, I wrote a song. I don't have any problems or issues to bring up, Tanya smiled. Thanks, Tanya, Sam C. pointed to Kat, who was sitting next to her. How are you doing, Kat? I'm feeling kind of annoyed today because I worked snack shop but didn't get any tips. One positive thing that happened to me is that I got to hang out with Meg, and she's a lot of fun. Kat, who was 15, told everyone. Do you have any problems or issues? Asked Sam C. Just that other girls are leaving the bathroom a disgusting mess. This morning, when I went to take a shower, the drain was full of someone's hair. Kat screwed up her face in disgust. This has been an issue before, Sam C. said. You girls really need to clean up after yourselves in the bathroom. If you girls don't shape up, we're going to have to make stricter rules around bathroom use. Got it? All of the girls nodded, so I nodded along with them. When it got to be my turn, Sam C. explained to me that I had to say how I was feeling, one positive thing about my day, and if I had any issues to do with the other girls or the house. I'm feeling nervous, I admitted. One positive thing about my day is that I got to leave the hospital and I don't have any issues. My voice shook a little. Something about CMC still had me feeling rattled inside. And that is the end of chapter 9 of Saving Destiny. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. I know it was a little long. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize how long it was going to be. Next time I'll read a shorter chapter. I'll make it a shorter chapter. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. If I get 50 or more subscribers, I can make videos off my phone. They'll be better quality. For now, this video is pretty good quality, so I guess it's okay. I just need to learn how to use YouTube better so I can learn how to do the live streaming better, and I'll try to make the beginnings of the videos start earlier. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.